Hi guys, welcome to Code Bashers. In this video, I will be discussing the Accenture interview experience. Now, this interview happened on 18th May 2021. Guys, this is part 3 of this series. Part 1 and 2 are already uploaded on my channel. And guys, there will be more parts which will be uploading for this Accenture interview series. So guys, make sure that you watch part 1 and part 2 also. And guys, make sure that if you're new to this channel, you subscribe this channel and join my Telegram group also, because I post regular updates on different companies which are hiring as well as the questions which are getting asked in them. So guys, make sure that you do not miss those updates and are present in my Telegram group. The link of the Telegram channel is given in the description box. So guys, now let's start this video, and before starting the video, please hit the like button as well as the subscribe button for this channel. Okay, so guys, in previous two videos, I have told you that in majority of the cases, these situational questions are asked in Accenture interview. But guys, this video is little different because the interview experience that I am covering in this video, in this interview, that technical questions are also asked. So guys, make sure that you watch this video till the end so that you can get to know the level of the questions and the type of the questions which can be asked in the interview. So make sure that you are watching it till the end. Okay, so the branch of my friend was CSC. The date of the interview was 18th May 2021. The duration of the interview was 30 minutes. Okay, so the first question of the interview is, as you all know, it is a universal question. It is introduce yourself. So guys, in this introduce yourself section, you just have to tell about the skills that you are comfortable with. If you are comfortable with one skill, then mention only one skill, but do not mention any skills in which you are not comfortable. So I hope this thing is clear to you, because this entire thing I am covering from most of the videos, that you just have to mention those things only in which you are comfortable in. Okay, now the next question was, which language you prefer? So my friend told C++. The next question was, what are the properties of OOPS? Again, this is the very basic question which can be asked from any language. That is, what are the properties of OOPS? We all know that the properties of OOPS are, first is polymorphism, second one is abstraction, then there is inheritance, and then there is data hiding. So you can just define them to the interviewer by just one line. And if you want to study more about these things, I will give you the link in the description box. You can go there and study deep for these particular properties. Okay, so I hope this question is clear to you. Now the next question was, what is the difference between a call by value and call by reference? Okay, so first we will discuss the call by value. Now in this method, the value of each variable in the calling function is copied into the corresponding dummy variables of the called function. So I know you won't understand using this language, so let's be simple. So this is a sample program that I have written to make you understand. Now let's suppose this is a function, that is def function. It takes two arguments, int a, int b. Now in this function, the value of b will be becoming a. Now in the main function, there are two variables again, int a is equal to 10, int b is equivalent to 20. Now we have called the function a comma b. Here a value is passed as 10 and b value is passed as 20. Now this function will be called, and now see, b is equivalent to a. So now this 20, where when it comes here, it will become 10. So here in this particular function, the value of b has changed from 20 to 10. But when we will be printing the value of b in the main function, then the value of b will be 20 only. This is known as call by value. That is any change inside this function will not reflect the change in the overall function, that is the main function. So this is known as the call by value function. What is the trick of knowing it? See, here simply it is written int a, int b. Now when we'll see call by reference, here it is written ampersand of a, ampersand of b. Okay, so I hope the call by value thing is clear. That is when whatever change of a variable will occur in this particular function, it will not be occurring in the entire code. Okay, now the call by reference. In this method, the address of actual variables in the calling functions are copied into the dummy variables of the called function. So here the values were getting copied, like this a value was copied into this variable a, and this b value was copied into this b variable. So this was call by value. But in call by reference, the values are not getting copied, the address are getting copied. So this particular a will be carrying the address of this a, and this particular b will be carrying the address of this b. So here the address are getting copied. So whatever the changes inside this function will take place, they will take place on the actual addresses, and they will reflect the entire change of the value in the function, in the main function. So in call by reference, the things which get changed in the function will be reflected in the main function also, whereas in call by value, it will only reflect in the function but not in the main function. I hope this thing is clear to you. Now, the next question was, what is a recursive function? So the simple one-line definition of a recursive function is function calling itself. Function calling itself is called a recursive function. So this you can say to the interviewer, and you can describe this particular line with an example also. So for you, I have written an example of a factorial. I hope you all know what a factorial is. 2 factorial is 2 factorial is 2 into 1, 3 factorial is 3 into 2 into 1. So this is a simple recursion function for calculating the factorial. Here I have not mentioned the base case. The idea was to just explain you things. So in this function, you see, when we enter a factorial and we have value n, then what we are returning? We are returning n into, and we are again calling this factorial function. So inside the function, again that particular function is also getting called. So this is what a recursive function is. Okay. So I hope now the recursive function is clear to you. Now the next thing was, what are the difference between private members and public members of a class? Okay. So here are the two differences I have mentioned. The private, first of all, the public member. Now all the class members declared under the public will be available to everyone. See, what does a public means? Public means available to all. And what does a private means? Private means available to a specific you can say member only. So for private, the class members declared as private can be accessed only by the functions inside the class. Okay, so public variables can be accessed outside the class also, and private members can only be accessed by the functions which are present in that class only. Now the next difference was, the data members and member functions declared public can be accessed by other classes too. Okay, so if we have two classes, so one class can access the public members of other class, but this is not the case of private. This is just opposite of public. That public, the private members can only be accessed by the functions of the same class, but they cannot be accessed by the functions of other class. So these were the two differences. I hope they are clear to you. Now the next question was, name the type of constructors. So guys, we all know there are total 3 types of constructors. We have all came across them. First one is the default constructor that is provided us to by the compiler, or we can simply define it. Next one is the parameterized constructor. So what is a parameterized constructor? In this, when we declare an object, we pass certain arguments in that particular object. That is known as the parameterized constructor. Now third one is the copy constructor. Now when we declare an object, we simply copy the value of other object into that particular object that we have created. So for that particular case, we use a copy constructor. Again, if you want to know them in detail, you can simply Google them. They are easily accessible to you. Okay. Now, guys, if you're still till now not like the video, please like the video as well as subscribe the channel. Now, the next question was, tell about your project. Again, this is also this is a 100% asked question in an Accenture interview. That is, you will be definitely asked about your project. So you just have to first, when you are asked about your project, you just have to explain the project. You just have to explain the technology that is working on and how the entire thing is going on. So you just have to explain a project for, let's suppose, 40 seconds to 1 minute. You just have to explain the working of the projects, the pipeline, the technology pipeline that you are using in this particular example. So guys, if you have a project on machine learning, then I have made a video that most commonly asked machine learning interview questions. So guys, you can check that video also. I will give you the link in the description box or in the I button. Now the next questions were the basic questions of ML. So these questions were basically very simple. You can say that the interviewer can ask you about the algorithm that you used in the project and just explain the algorithm. They can ask you what is logistic regression, what is linear regression, that are very basic to ML. So I hope that things will be clear to you if you have built the project. Now the next question was, what is the future scope of your project? So guys, if you are following this interview series, then I have in every video I have told you that whenever you are preparing for a project, then you have to take 4 things into account. First, you have to explain the project, then you have to know the technology that you are working on, and you should know the basics of that technology. Then you should know that what are the challenges you faced, how you solve that challenges, and what will be the future scope of the project you are building. Because if there is no future scope, then your project is a simply waste of time. So there must be a future scope of your project, and you should be prepared with this answer. Okay, so this was all for the interview. And in the last, the interviewer asked my friend that, do you have any questions from me? So as whenever this thing is asked to you, you should never say no. You should always say yes, you have an question, and you just asked 1 or 2 questions from him. because this will put a good impact on the interviewer that you care about the company that you are joining. So make sure that whenever there is a opportunity to ask a question, do ask them. Do not say no, you do not have a question. It will put a very bad impression on them. So guys, this was it for this video. I hope you liked this video. This interview experience was little different because technical questions were also involved in them. But guys, don't worry, you have to prepare technical questions, but you have to just prepare the basics of OOPS and basics of DBMS. DBMS is very lessly asked, but you must prepare the basics of any language like OOPS concept and private public members. That will do your job. Rest 80% of the interview, you know that they are only based on your project, internships, or some situational questions which whose answer depend on candidate to candidate. So I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching it. Please join my Telegram group also.